Since it was found, Pluto was considered a planet. But in 2006, tragedy struck. Scientists changed the definition of what it meant to be a planet. Poor Pluto was left out in the cold. Before 2006, planet did not have a definition, but the Latin planeta did. Planeta meant wandering star. Most of the points of light in the sky moved in a similar fashion, but some did not, leading ancient cultures to believe they were wandering, or even gods. These are the planets. By this definition, you could argue so many ways. If we were to take the literal translation, none of our planets are stars, and are not, therefore, planets. You could also decide to follow the figurative description, the points of light that wander the sky. If we say just those we can see with the naked eye, Neptune cannot be a planet either. If we include telescopes, we have vast numbers, including Pluto. But we are talking about planets, not planetas. The IAU points out that at first glance, it's easy to define what a planet is. A large, round body. On second thought, how large and how round should an asteroid be? A good question. NASA requires a planet to meet 3 criteria. First, it must orbit the sun. Check. Second, it must be big enough for gravity to squash it into a round ball. Check. Third, it must have cleared the other objects out of the way in its orbital neighborhood. To clear an orbit, a planet must be big enough to pull neighboring objects into the planet itself, or slingshot them off into outer space. This is where conflict lies. Granted, Pluto dips into the Kuiper Belt, which is not being cleared, but the amount of clearance is unspecified. If we say all objects, moons could be considered as part of an orbital neighborhood. Mercury and Venus are the only planets without moons. If we say any objects, all mass has gravity, which pulls all other masses, forming the objects. It's true that Pluto is smaller than our current 8 planets. Its diameter is about the same as the US is tall. And yet, when we're talking about someone who is vertically challenged, we still call them human, not dwarf human, unless we're being insulting. Why should it be any different for planets? Part of NASA's argument against Pluto being a planet is that if we called Pluto a planet, we would have to include all the other planet-like objects in the asteroid belt and Kuiper belt. 8 is, after all, easier to remember than 8 plus Pluto, plus Ceres, plus the 43 and counting in the Kuiper belt. However, no disrespect to NASA, we have 50 states in our country, and many of us learned a song with all of the states in it in elementary school. Sadly, there are 3 more planetoids. But if we delve into Canada, Quebec, Ontario, Alberta, 53. We also probably would only memorize the planets if we wanted to, so it could work. Pluto was a kind and loyal planet, despite being named after the god of the dead. We should respect him and return his planetary status.